Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now we're taking a look at Dent Wireless today. I appreciate my supporters for being patient with me here. I haven't covered it much recently because obviously it's just been kind of on a bearish trend, but I do feel like we have some good indicators here today we'd like to review and see what's going on with the recent price action. So thanks again for your support and patience here with me. Moving forward, we'll go ahead and take a look at the technical charts. No fundamentals. Let me know if you have any insight on what's going on in the back end, of course. I'd love to hear that. Feel free to comment below. Also know I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research. Also bear in mind there is $25 in Bitcoin available from Voyager, link in the description below, as well as my Telegram community and showing your support through Patreon if you'd like to join my private Discord channel. All that is in the description below, but for now, why don't we just go ahead and cut to the chase, get to the video. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Dent Wireless. Just before we do, of course, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum to kind of get a baseline on what's going on in the overall market and to see how they're kind of working together and or tandem, perhaps otherwise. I just think it's important to understand the correlation there, just so we can make an informed decision looking at the big picture, okay? So let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin first. So here's Bitcoin. Again, this is always a 4-hour chart. I use the Binance application. It's a desktop application, and I use the TradingView chart within Binance. Okay. Now again, this is a 4-hour chart, and I have the 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages enabled, and essentially some support and resistance lines drawn already. Current support is roughly 46,800. It's approximate because it's been tested roughly a few times, but recently a little bit more than we'd like. So it's kind of concerning, but hopefully we can see the price increase like it did previously and come back up over this previous support of 53,300. Above that, we have a major resistance level now, was potential support at one point of 57,000, and then of course we got 59,500 up here as the previous most recent high, essentially in the last month. Okay, so that's the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum, performing equally as poorly as Bitcoin. And what I've noticed here too, if you're not familiar with this already, traditionally, folks will go from Bitcoin to Ethereum. If Bitcoin's doing poorly, you'd see Ethereum increase in price because they switch over to the next major coin, right? Or the highest altcoin that has the largest market cap. Okay, that's usually Ethereum. That's what this was here. Now that Bitcoin's been doing its thing, Ethereum is doing essentially the exact same thing. And I'm speculating that ADA is taking up all the capitalization because people are coming over to ADA, more affordable, more potential, likely even a better product, and it's going to increase as it has already, and it's experienced a very large growth in the last 24 to 48 hours. Coincidentally, contradictory to what we see here and Bitcoin. So that's something to be mindful of. Doesn't mean you have to migrate over there, but I think that's what people are doing, and that's likely why we see Ethereum not recovering as well as it usually does. But this is a 4-hour chart. We got the 50-day moving average right here and the 100 at this point here. And really just bottom line is the price rejected through the 50-day moving average pretty hard, as well as the fact that the 100, it may work as a support level, but we're not sure. Either way, we're not here for this. I just want to clarify that is essentially the case. And why don't we go ahead and take a look at Dent now. I got some previous support and resistance levels drawn out here. We might extend that later, but let's go ahead and just take a quick look at the 1-day chart, and then work our way down and see if we can find some good entry points for us. Now, one thing I can obviously see here is that the price is very affordable. So if you haven't invested in Dent yet, perhaps now's a good time, as it is still got really good fundamentals. Do your own research, of course, but I can tell you that the likelihood of the price coming any further down is pretty low. But you can see that Bitcoin has had an impact on this because those two major decreases recently are likely the result of Bitcoin, right? So just keep that in mind. It's definitely not Bitcoin proof, but I do think that it has opportunity and still a lot of potential here. But let's see here. So we do have a previous support and resistance level there. Could extend that out. We'll just make some new lines because I don't think those are going to be tested for a little while. But for now, that is what we're looking at for the 1-day chart. Another good indication here. Again, don't put a lot of weight into this personally, but I do like the fact that the RSI is extremely low, in the low 30s, low to upper 30s. That's fantastic. Basically just means that it's considered oversold and that it's potentially a good value. Now, I do think that it is pretty good value considering how low it's gone. It it almost tested its most recent low of just say 0.005. But that was when we had a pretty big sell-off. That was Bitcoin's second major sell-off on the 22nd of April. So there's no surprise it came down that low. But a little surprised it came down as low as it has right now, but I still feel like there's strong potential for it to come back. Also note too, the volume has been diminishing. Makes sense. There's, I wouldn't say less trust in Dent, but just like less interest, you could say. There's not a major social sentiment if you look at that. But there's still a large following, and I do feel like Dent will take off. Just based on what I see here so far, though, it does appear to still be in, bearish territory. However, with this consolidation period here lasting a little bit longer than previous ones, I do think that we're looking good. So we've got a couple of gravestone patterns here, some things that are kind of showing us that there is a shift in momentum that should likely increase soon. So I like that. So all in all, pretty good one-day chart. I do think that's pretty decent. And this is a 4-hour chart here now. And just something to note as well, the RSI dipped below 30 a few times recently. So Dent did get hit pretty hard. But again, I think that was from Bitcoin selling off the first and second time here recently. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so 10th, 12th. So we do see a pretty obvious correlation there. But what's good to hear is the price hasn't gone any lower. It's consolidated. And it's in this little channel right now. And that tells me that the price will likely break out soon, because usually when you see a type of channel like this, there's likely an inevitability of an increase in price just based on the way that it's trending over. And it's been so low for so long. So those are good things. I like that. This does look very good, promising in a sense. Not like phenomenal. I don't love this, but I don't hate it either. It's not. It's definitely got some good things going for it. But that being said, we are looking at RSI on the 4-hour chart, right in the middle. Nothing too crazy. Right, essentially fair to midland. This is a good sign. Personally, anytime you see a RSI in the middle and we see a short period of consolidation, almost for the last 2 days, it does kind of prime. It's kind of priming for a breakout, right? So we're hoping for a breakout, obviously in an upward fashion. So as long as Bitcoin can stay over, just say 47,000, 46,800 was the lowest support level. If it can stay over that for a few more days and possibly do a slight increase, then I think we should see Dent take off. Let's look at the 15-minute chart, see if we can find a good entry point for you. And something to note here as well, the recent increase in price, which is fantastic by the way, did increase too quickly. In other words, it didn't have much consolidation, which is fine, but it's no wonder why the price came back down, because the RSI jumped up over 70 and it was considered to be overbought. And that's normal to have a retracement. And with the price coming down the way that it is and not consolidating in this smaller pattern here, or this channel, does imply that the bears are still in control. The bulls haven't taken over completely yet, because if there was a bull run, so to speak, we would have seen a shorter period of consolidation with a lot less variance. Okay. Again, just something to note. This could very well break out soon. It'd be fantastic if it does. But I do feel like the bears and the bulls are essentially getting kind of, getting a little exhausted, so to speak, and they're just kind of consolidating into this little channel here. So the average true range is essentially in the range of like 0.062 upwards of 0.072. So I wouldn't be surprised if the price does stay in this channel for a little bit longer, but I would love to see it break out. Now here's something to note here, which is good. We've obviously got pretty strong resistance line at 0.0737. Let's just say 0.0. Sorry, there's 2 zeros. 0.0074. Okay, so 74 for short. Essentially, that is the case in point where it was tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times previously, and again recently. So that'd be our next major resistance line that we need to pay attention to. Furthermore, as well, we've got this was tested quite a handful of times and previously as well. So we'll just mark that here too. We've got a support right in the range of 0.0061. Okay, so from 61 to 74 essentially is the channel that it's in right now, and it's right in the center. So all in all, it could go either way, but what we want to do is pay attention to how the price action is reacting. So let's look at the 1-minute chart to see if we can identify the EMA and the VWAP. So first of all, price just bounced off of VWAP, which is good. And if you're new to the channel, VWAP is the volume weighted average price, just expressed, the volume expressed over the last 24 hours as a price. So according to the volume in the last 24 hours, the price should be right at about 6.0067. So that's kind of what the average true range based on the volume is. And that's a good sign. It basically means that it came down, bounced off, and it works as a support, and it should likely continue upwards. Moving forward as well, we also want to note that the EMA line, the price is above EMA. Okay, so that's also good. So if you're not familiar with EMA, that's the exponential moving average, and it essentially tells us where the momentum is heading, both bullish or bearish. In other words, if you look back here, it was definitely bullish. You see it comes up, tests the EMA line, continues, tests it again, and it consolidated, tried once more time, and rejected. So as you can see, it lost that momentum, that exponential moving average, and it continued to get beaten down and essentially worked down here as well. Likely because it increased too high and went to over 70 on the RSI originally, considered overbought, and we're finding it to be sold off. But what's great, it tried to come up here, got rejected again, but it came down and bounced off the VWAP, which is fantastic. So ideally, if the price continues upwards and continues to bounce off the EMA, we'll see more of a bullish trend moving forward. Now this could last for a short while, could last for a long while. It's really hard to say. The important thing is to identify the fact that once it breaks this resistance level of 0.0074, then we're in the clear and likely going to see more gains. Okay, but until it breaks the channel, I think it's in what did I say 61 to 74. Until it breaks this channel, it's going to be hard to, I guess, identify specifically what the momentum is. But great news is the price did bounce off VWAP here and it's above EMA. So this would be a consideration to take entry. Usually I like to wait for 2 or 3 solid 1 minute candlesticks. And as you can see here, there are basically, this was below, so that doesn't count. So these two right here are essentially above EMA. So there's a potential that this could be a good entry point. So it could continue upwards there. But that is just something to consider. Again, I like to take entry in places and point where I get confirmation. And to me, confirmation is the volume weighted average price, which is working as a support right now, and seeing the price stay above that for, in most cases, no less than 30 minutes on the 15-minute chart, or in this case, at least 3 minutes above the EMA line on the 1-minute chart. Okay, so that's just kind of what I look at. That's how I understand it. It works really well for me. Another thing we gotta also communicate, if you're not already familiar with this, is just so you're newer to the channel, is I always try to reiterate the importance of risk management. Okay, so in this scenario here, for example, with the price bouncing off VWAP, what you do is you'd set a lower level of just say 1%. So just say hypothetically, when you get in this trade, you're willing to lose 1%. So you mark that on your chart. The goal though is to always try to shoot for 2%, right? You want to have a 2-to-1 ratio for your risk management. So to me, my comfortable number is 2-to-1, because just say I'm a 50% trader and I'm successful 50% of the time. At that rate, if I have a 2-to-1 ratio on my success, I'll likely be right around 66% successful. I'll have a 66% chance of gaining every day, right? So that's just, again, just kind of something to think about. Always use risk management. Always have a clear view of what you are willing to lose and what you're willing to try to gain. Because if you just have a 1-to-1 ratio and you're just kind of jump in, jump out at any given time, you're always going to lose. The house will win, right? This isn't gambling, but if you approach it like gambling, that's how it happens. So just be smart, be wise about your entry point, set a goal, set a target before you start, and don't just callously jump in and out and think that you're the best. You will get lucky sometimes, there's no doubt. You might 10x one of these days, that's okay. But don't consider that to be something that's the norm. All these other YouTubers out there with, on the hype train, they need to calm down, pump the brakes, and you need to make sure to check yourself, because you will get wrecked if you are not careful. So again, just be very careful, be very mindful. Use the EMA line on a 1 or 15-minute chart. Make sure you understand more specifically how it reacts. By the way, I don't think I covered this, but it is the EMA 15. Most charts will give you a 9 and a 20. I like to split the difference and use the 15. It works best for me. But always, if nothing else, always use the VWAP and ensure the price is bouncing off VWAP or holding, and wait for your confirmation before you take entry. Without confirmation, you're just going to be, like I said, you're going to be gambling, and the house will eventually win. Okay? Don't gamble with your money. Be smart, be calculated, and be a good trader, right? Nonetheless, that is all I have for you here today. Best luck moving forward. I do feel I'm still bullish on Dent. I feel like it should not go much lower, based on the overall sentiment right there. I think 61 cents is a pretty strong support level, but we just got to break through correction at 0.0061, and we got to break through 0.0074 to essentially be able to get where we need to go. Okay. So once we break that plane, I think we're off to the races and we can see some good things. All right, so hey, make sure to join my Discord channel through my Patreon. Of course, you like to show your support. We also have a Telegram community. Get engaged. Let's all learn and grow together. All in the description below if you haven't referenced that yet. So hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you soon.